First of all, excuse my dog barking in the back. If he starts doing that, just ignore him. Sorry about that. But hi, everyone. My name is Jessie. I'm a freshman debater at Emory. I did 4 years of policy debate in high school. And I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about college debate and then reaching out to college coaches about their program. So first, I'm just going to give like a little roadmap about what we're going to be talking about, and then we'll get right into it. So I'm going to talk to you guys first about the benefits of college debate just in general and like why it's good and advantageous for you to do it. Then about the general differences between high school and college. And then finally about reaching out to coaches, and then I'll be open to like as many questions as you guys want. So yeah, let's get started. So why should you do college debate? So there are a couple of like really key important things about why college debate is really awesome. First is that college is obviously like a super new experience for everyone. It's really different from high school. And doing college debate is a really strong and like tight-knit community right off the bat that helps you feel a lot more secure going into college. So a lot of the people on the team, especially if you are going to a school with a relatively big team, a lot of the people on there are upperclassmen who have already gone through the process of being a freshman. And so they can answer stuff, they can answer questions about stuff you're confused about and give you like class advice and tell you what teachers are good. And all of that is super helpful when you're going into college. Because it's like definitely kind of a confusing process, and so it's really nice to have that community. Also, like at least this year, I know speaking from experience, it was super nice with COVID to be on the debate team at Emory and to be going to lectures a lot, like on Zoom and stuff, because to, I guess, like use a debate term, it was nice to have that as like a stasis point. It's like the one thing, it's the one thing that truly felt like pretty stable to me during all of this like upheaval. And I think that's just like very reflective of the way in which debate in college is a really nice and strong community for you. Just aside from like the general competitive aspects, it's just really nice to have that group of people who you automatically have something in common with. Also, it's just definitely a competitive challenge. It's definitely harder than high school, but it's not impossible. And if you care about debate a lot and are passionate about it and really want to improve, regardless of like how good you are right now, then I would highly recommend doing debate in college because you'll learn so much so quickly. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I'm talking about like high school and college and the difference between them. But also, another really good thing about college debate is that a lot of colleges with like big debate programs like Emory offer specific scholarships for debate. And that will kind of tie in a little bit later to when we're talking about like how to communicate with coaches. But these debate scholarships are like really awesome because it can be anywhere from like a partial to a full ride. And it's for something that like you automatically are doing. And a lot of college coaches care a lot more that you're passionate about debate and are working hard rather than your competitive success because they understand the inequities in debate. So I can only like really speak to the Barkley Forum Woodruff Scholars, which is Emory's debate scholarship program thing. But it's you just like fill out a really tiny application and write an essay about why you like debate. And it's like super easy. And the coaches are really nice and they'll give you anything from like a partial to a full ride scholarship if you get that scholarship. And this year about 5 kids got it. So it's not just one person, and they're like moving more towards giving people scholarships, not just based on their competitive record, but also based on like the passion they exhibit within debate and the leadership that they show, which can be a really nice reassuring thing, especially for like people coming from small schools. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So let's talk about the differences between high school and college. So one of the first differences is just that college topics are a little bit different than high school topics, in the sense that high school topics switch off between like, it's like 2 domestic, 1 foreign policy, and it goes like that. College is a little bit different in that there's 1 year where it's like a wild card topic that can be like anything. So it can be either domestic or foreign policy. And so this year was one of those wild card topics, and there was anything from like the topic was anything from infrastructure to what the topic is, which is alliances. So there's a certain year when like anything goes for the topic. One of the other major differences is just basically in speech times. So in high school, you have 8-minute constructives and 5-minute rebuttals. At least for policy debate, I can't really speak to any other forms of debate. But in college, it's 9-minute constructives and 6-minute rebuttals, and that doesn't really change that much. It just means that you definitely want to like be practicing spreading a lot, because people are also a lot faster, and you just kind of have to get your stamina up. It also means that you can present more arguments, and so there's a lot more that you're going to have to respond to. But I honestly would not worry too much about that, because whatever college you go to, like regardless of, I guess, the competitive success of their debate teams in the past, they're much larger than your high school teams, and the coaches are much more experienced, and they're going to help you through that, and they'll help you formulate really good responses to the arguments that you're going to be hearing. So that brings me into my next point, which is just that college teams are a lot bigger. They have a lot more evidence. They have a lot more back files, which are just, I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's basically just like old files from past years. And so like the culmination of all of those files is a lot of stuff. So I know I came from a really small school, and going to Emory, like there's a lot more files, and it's nice to be able to have access to all of those resources, especially if that's something that like you were lacking in high school. So another thing that's really important to note is when you go into college debate, there's going to be people on the team of all different skill levels. And it's important to go into that team with the understanding that it's okay if you're like not perfect right off the bat. You don't have to know everything, and you don't have to be as good as some of the older members for the team to still pay attention to you and still want to help you. And you're going to learn a lot really quickly, because there are so many resources and so many coaches that are there to help you. So that also means that the evidence and argument quality is a lot better, because teams, like all of the arguments are vetted more properly and just more extensively. And so most good teams know that, you know, like everything they put in the 2AC or 1NC are arguments that they should go for or could go for, or that would be strategic for them to go for. And so there aren't as many like random throwaway arguments that you kind of know are bad right off the bat. And if you go against a team that has those, it's super rare, and they are not good teams. So also, I feel like a big common question is just like what kinds of arguments are in college, and how does that differ from high school? It doesn't really differ very much at all. There's not really a ton of difference in the types of arguments presented, mainly just the quality of them. So like I said, in college, a lot of the arguments are researched a lot more, and are just better in general. They're presented better. And so that means that like it's the same types of arguments, but just a lot better. And there are coaches that are more like finely tuned to those arguments. And so what I mean by that is that like they have more knowledge about those arguments, and whereas in high school you might have like one coach who has to deal with everything, in college there are multiple different coaches generally that have more specificities. So another thing about college is that there is no JV division. So what this means is that going into college, you'll either be a novice or varsity. And most colleges will throw debaters who have already debated in the past, regardless of like how competitively successful you are, directly into varsity. So I know that sounds like very scary. That freaked me out at first as well, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because it'll be super helpful to go against teams that aren't all freshmen and sophomores. And it'll also mean that you learn a lot more a lot sooner because you'll be going against teams that have been doing college debate for a while and are more used to it. And so that's a really great opportunity to be able to learn from them a lot more. And it's just, there's definitely a bigger difference in skill level between the different divisions, but that is okay because it means that you can bridge that gap a lot sooner. Also, another big thing is just that the tournaments are a lot longer. So a lot of times instead of like 2 or 3 days, it's like 4+ days. And there are a lot more prelims, which are like the rounds you have, and it just decides whether or not you go into elimination rounds. And so I don't know how much that affects. It just means you have more rounds. So bring coffee or something, I guess. Also in college, there are 3 main debate organizations, and that's NDT, CETA, and ADA. I don't entirely know what all of those acronyms mean, but I do know that they all host big national tournaments, and they all host like different tournaments in general that you can go to, which is pretty cool. And most policy colleges or colleges that have like big policy teams will participate in tournaments held by each of these. In terms of like the types of debate in college, I can mainly just attest to policy, but I know that the 2 big ones that people do in college are policy and parliamentary. And I don't know anything about parley, so I don't know if anyone here is doing that, Anna, but I cannot really say much about that. But a lot of teams have policy as well, and those are the 2 big ones. So yes. Okay, a couple more points, then I'll talk about reaching out to coaches, and then I promise you guys can ask me questions because I don't want to be talking at you this whole time. But also something that is really big about college that is so important to note is that in high school, your competitive success is more largely determined by just like natural skill. But in college, it matters a lot more about the research and the effort you put into doing debate. So a lot of people who were really good in high school burn out in college, but a lot of others don't. And this is because pure skill matters a lot less than how much time, effort, and passion you put into the activity, which means that people who were able to coast by debate in high school aren't as able to do that in college, which presents a really good opportunity for people from smaller schools or from less successful teams to be able to do really well in college despite high school success. Like that does not matter in college. What matters is that you're like working really hard, you're cutting cards, you're going to tournaments, and you're trying and applying yourself and trying to learn. And I can like give you guys examples of people who have done that, but also just take my word for it. I promise that I am telling the truth about this. Yeah. And that also means that preseason prep is extra important because there are also no college debate camps, but a lot of college kids will end up working at camps as well, which can be helpful because you'll end up meeting other debaters going to your school or going to other schools that you'll end up competing against, which is nice to, I guess, take out the competition. But yeah, let's talk about reaching out to coaches. This is a big one. So I want to give a brief disclaimer that coaches care way more about you being interested in their program than they do any previous competitive success. So for example, I come from a very, very small school in Atlanta with a very young debate program that I basically helped start. And me and my partner never got a TOC bid in high school, but I was still able to get recommendations, like letters of recommendations from the debate coach at Georgetown and Emory. And I'm going to talk about why and how. So have any of you guys ever been to like another camp before, or is this your first camp?
I went with Anna to the Harvard one.
Okay.
I went with Anna to the Harvard one too.
Nice. A lot of Harvard people. All right. So at every camp you go to, there's going to be staff, and some of those staff, it's really important to get close to, or at least know, because at every camp you go to, you build connections that will help you learn more about college programs and potentially get recommendations. So for example, like I went to Georgetown last summer, and Michaela Malzin, who's the director of debate at Georgetown, was my lab leader, and that is how like I was able to get that recommendation, because I told her I was interested in the program, and we had a ton of calls, and she was like, sure, I'm gonna write you a letter of recommendation. That was not English, but I'll write you a letter of recommendation. And you honestly, like, you don't even have to know the coach to reach out to them. Every school you apply to that has a debate program, you should reach out to the coaches. And you kind of just have to be like, hi, like, my name is blank. I'm a debater for blank. I've been doing debate for blank many years. And I'm interested in learning more about your debate program. I was wondering if there was a time that I would be able to set up a call with you to ask questions about your program. And then like they'll probably say yes because they need debaters and want debaters. And during that call, just ask any questions you might have about their program. Big ones are just like, are there any prerequisites to be able to compete on your team? How many tournaments do you generally go to per year? I guess just ask about team culture. How compatible is doing debate with doing other activities on campus, and stuff like that. And many really good debate schools, if you get those recommendations from their coaches, they'll take those recommendations super seriously, because debate is a major source of revenue for them, and they want debaters who will contribute to that team's success, because that gives them more revenue. And colleges care a lot about money because they're capitalist. So if you get those recommendations, or at least if you just talk to coaches about their programs, that is majorly helpful. And it's just helpful for you to know more about the process and what it would be like for you to debate at their program. Coaches can also help you a lot just with the application process in general, and knowing what the college wants to see on those applications, and just like stuff like that. But remember that their main focus is the debate program, so I would generally gear most of your questions toward that. But yeah, a lot of colleges just really care about the contributions you've made to the debate community, and they'll take those really seriously, and they care a lot about that. They care that you're interested in their program, because again, they need team members and they want you on their program if you're someone who is going to work hard, and who cares about debate and is willing to put in the effort. So yeah, that's honestly all I really have. If you guys have any